But the fact of the matter is, not all licenses and handgun permits are created equally. We're the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about what ID qualifies for purposes of purchasing a firearm from an FFL. So what ID documents do you need to bring with you whenever you want to go buy a gun? Now, stick around for our pro tip at the end of this video to talk about what handgun licenses and permits satisfy the background check requirements so they could act as a substitute to the background check, the NICS background check. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. And 80% of our viewers aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy this content, consider subscribing. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. But to begin this conversation, what's the general rule when it comes to what ID qualifies to facilitate a purchase?
Yeah, what that FFL dealer is going to need are these pieces of information. They're going to need your name associated with a photograph so they can verify that you are who you say you are. We're also going to need your address and your date of birth, right? Yeah. But not all pieces of identification contain all three of those qualifiers, right?
And so what we see is that we need these government-issued IDs that, and some things meet all these requirements, like a state-issued driver's license. That has all of that information on it. Every state's driver's license qualifies as an identifying document for, purchasing a gun, essentially. But what happens whenever, and I think this is coming up because so many people are moving across the country, or, maybe their driver's license hasn't been renewed, it's expired, and they don't have, an unexpired government-issued ID. What comes up is, can I fulfill this requirement some other way?
Yeah, and what's interesting is you can do it with a combination of government-issued documents that give you all of those things: name, photo, address, and date of birth. So that might be, it might be your handgun license, right?
No, exactly right.
But it could be your passport, which has your name, photo, date of birth, but not your address. And so you could put your passport with, let's say, your property tax bill, right?
Government issued document.
Exactly. It could be that, you could bring in your water bill. You could bring in
vehicle registration,
right? So long as you can make this combination. Social security cards are kind of the exception to this because it really doesn't provide any information that really identifies you other than this is your name.
Right. Yeah, there's no photograph associated with it. But having that combination of documents, and why that address comes up is because that establishes residency for purposes of the gun store figuring out, hey, can I legally sell to this person? That's why that information is so important. And then I think an important note to bring up here too is our military folks. They may have two states of residence. They may have their driver's license that says, hey, I live in Texas and, here's my house and this is my address, but they may have...
But I'm stationed in, North Carolina.
Yeah, I have orders. Here's my orders paper. Here's my military ID. And that might qualify as their second state of residence. So we wanted to throw that in as well.
Yep.
But that brings us to our attorney pro tip of the day about what handgun licenses and permits qualify as a substitute to the background check. And it's not all of them.
No, it is not all. These are listed on the ATF website. I'm going to let you know what they are now, but I want you to know ahead of time that many states issue several different kinds of handgun license and permits. Not all permits that come from these states we're going to tell you about qualify as a bypass for that NICS background check. So check out the link to the ATF website in the description if you have questions, and that is going to give you all the details you need. Here is that list. It is Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming.
And yes, again, it has to be reemphasized because some of these states issue multiple types of licenses. And if your state does that, then your license or permit may not qualify. So make sure to check out those kind of extra qualifications by visiting the ATF website, link in the description below. But we hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, hit the like button, consider subscribing, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
Please continue to question and comment below. We love to pull new videos from the questions and comments. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.